Hello, my darlings. So it's Alicia. Okay, so we prepared the dinner, right? And it's kind of like mostly like a Russian national dinner in that sense. So here I have fried potatoes, as you saw how I fried them. I don't typically add any salt or pepper while I'm frying them in the pan because they get mushy. Right? So I kind of fry them first, but they become like crunchy. They become a little bit crunchier than this. Today I was making videos, so I was kind of part of my energy went into creation of this video as well. Plus, we have a kind of in American culture, I think it's called the Mediterranean salad. However, it's a very, I would say, very common salad in Russia. It's a fresh cucumber, fresh tomato, and a lot of like green dill, cilantro, and green onion, right? Sometimes you can add to the salad you can add the red onion, right? Or you can add whatever. You can add avocado or, what is it? What did I say? Red onion, right? When I was growing up, we didn't have avocado, so I didn't know what avocado was until I actually moved to United States. Also, a very national dish in here as well. It's a marinated mushrooms that I was talking about, right? And so the salad and the mushrooms, I put some non-refined sunflower oil. Some people may say maybe sunflower oils are not the best for you, but this is the only oil I use for cooking in that sense. And I'm not quite sure for how long I'm going to actually continue eating cooked meals in that sense, because I'm not quite sure if I'm going to actually switching in the future, if Infinite Consciousness is going to actually bring me to the raw vegan, right? As I keep mentioning this through my videos. I don't plan to talk about this, but it's being like it's being mentioned while I'm actually creating these videos also. Okay, and then I have a lemon water, obviously. So thank you, Infinite Consciousness, for this beautiful dinner, for all abundance within my life. Thank you for this great opportunity to express myself over the such a great gift as modern technology, even though so many people get mad at the technology. Oh, technology is ruining the human experience and whatnot, right? But guys, any type of technology, it's basically a tool. It's all technology. So there is no such thing as individual invention or inventor. I was going to talk about this. So there is no individual inventor or invention in that sense. Everything that is basically provided to us, this is the I would say this is the all the technologies, all the new I would say discoveries, whatever is for the benefit of society. It's all provided to us by the Infinite Consciousness. So basically, if the person kind of received the scientific knowledge, if the person went to some type of, I don't know, any type of specialized university or higher educational facility, and they received an education to become, let's say, a scientist, or let's say basically receive the biotech education, right? Kind of in biology professor and whatnot, right? The scientists or technology, the engineers, and everyone else. So Infinite Consciousness channels through them based on their level of skill and knowledge and how they understand the information. As I stated previously, Infinite Consciousness channels through each one of us in very sophisticated, very unique, very individual style in that sense, right? And so if the person, let's say they received experience and they received knowledge, if they received I would say the skills and scientific field, then Infinite Consciousness will channel this information, all the knowledge, all the wisdom through them in their terms, through formulas and whatnot. That's how Einstein, right? Einstein and many other ones, I would say, scientists, that's how they discover things. It's actually not coming from, it is coming from within. However, it is channeled. It's always channeled. And so as we go and we look at architecture, whatever was built in the ancient world in that sense, guys, there was a different civilization before us, right? And you can see it by the architecture that was built with so many very intricate details, with such a great technology. Even right now, the current modern society is unable to replicate state with the technologies that we have now. The buildings, the art, anything that you actually see in Europe, and some basically architecture in here within the United States as well. I'm talking about, like, I've been to Barcelona in Spain, and so I went to La Sagrada Familia. I don't think so. These technologies, so I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist in that sense. However, there are a lot of we need to understand that a lot of very important historical facts, a lot of information was twisted, a lot of information was manipulated, a lot of information was erased from the history for us actually to forget who we truly are, in that sense, to forget that we at some point, our predecessors, right, our ancestors, they are not the cave women and cavemen who came out of the caves, in that sense. Yes, some aborigines, they existed just like they basically exist right now in the modern days, right? So, however, the prior civilizations, they were more advanced in the technology. They actually carried such a high level tech that they were able to build such a great architecture, in that sense, with so many details, with so much majesty and grandiose, in that sense. So please don't fall for the narrative, whatever was provided to you within the history, right? There are some shows, I believe, maybe on Netflix or maybe somewhere else, maybe on Gaia, I have no idea, they talk about this basically discoveries. However, even without watching these documentaries, just kind of watching, I watched a few documentaries about the ancient architecture, but even without looking at further at those documentaries, we can tell that this is kind of state-of-the-art technology that was basically present on Earth at some point, in that sense. And all this knowledge, all this wisdom is actually, some people think that, I would say, some people think that this, I would say, knowledge was kind of hidden and was stolen from the humanity, which is part true. However, the technologies are provided to the collective consciousness, to us, through individual vessels when we are ready for such technology, right? So when the human consciousness is ready for the high-level technology, it's going to be provided to us through some architects, through some engineers, through some scientists, in that sense. Scientists will make a discovery when they basically the common consciousness, the collective awareness is to this level to receive this type of technology and to use this technology for our benefit, in that sense, right? And so technology for itself, it's not either good or bad, in that sense. Whatever is provided to us, it's all provided to us for our benefit. But how we're using it, it depends on actually on our state of consciousness and our state of awareness. So whatever we're noticing right now within the AI, right, and how AI right now, basically it's a double, I would say it's a double-edged sword. I can see that how AI actually provides so much benefit in that sense. And some people may, a lot of people are actually, I would say, really have very bad stigma towards AI. I actually personally think it's an excellent technology. However, our humanity must adjust to using that technology, because many, let's say, some people say, oh, the AI actually taking away our bread. It's kind of removing the artists, in that sense, or stealing the work of the artists, or I would say stealing a lot of things like music, right? But for the majority of the time as well, there is a big problem that currently persists within the humanity, where the data centers are being built right now to basically to circulate the water, to cool, for the cooling system, right? For those data centers, and those data centers, they're basically using, I would say, the fresh water, right? Which is a necessity for humanity. So I think this technology right now, it's such an early state of the development, in that sense, that humanity has not adjusted properly with the high, I would say, with the high responsibility, in that sense, right? So right now it's going to get messy, and it's getting messy in that sense. However, at some point we're going to get a grip of this, and at some point I'm very optimistic about the AI technology. Some people get scared in that sense, but I must assure you there is nothing to be scared. So this is just a new technology. Our consciousness of humanity, it's awakening. It's basically rising up. So when our collective consciousness will rise up, we are going to find appropriate ways to basically, I would say, to use this technology for our benefit. When corruption is actually, I would say, taken out, when corruption is basically, I would say, transmuted into the higher, I would say, morals in that sense, when people are actually acting with their heart, with the love within their heart in that sense, versus the, I would say, the desire for the benefit in that sense, the desire to receive a reward, when there is not going to be kind of a desire for just to kind of receive a profit in that sense. This technology is going to, it is a great addition to the humanity in that sense. However, it needs some adjustment. However, we are very powerful. So if some people think, kind of feel very threatened by this technology right now, I must assure you guys, we are more powerful than any technology in here. Because if there are any problems arise with any of the technology, the conscious, I would say, the conscious people, they will channel the solutions for this type of problems. So I must assure you that yes, this technology, even though it's going to get messy right now within the next few years, however, the humanity eventually will come to their senses and basically channel the solutions from the infinite consciousness to basically make sure that we are using this technology with the highest responsibility, right? And so I just wanted to share this with you. So there is nothing to be afraid about AI. And some artists might say right now to me, oh, Lisa, it's taking our bread away, or writers, or music producers, or composers. But guys, this is, we are more creative than any of the technology right now. We are the most creative. It's the matter of us actually going within. It's actually connecting with the source within and start channeling the uniqueness, the art that we basically, our creativity. And our creativity is not going to be comparable to any of the artificial intelligence, I promise to you, because there is a human factor that will never be substituted by this artificial intelligence. This technology was provided to us for our benefit in that sense. Again, I'm telling you, any technology that is being provided to humanity is for our benefit. It's the matter how we are using this technology. And how we are, I would say, nowadays abusing this technology, right? Not for the benefit, but for the harm. It's almost like, I don't have a knife with me, but it's almost like a knife or even a fork, right? So technology, it's a tool, right? But how you use it, you can actually eat your potatoes with this fork, or you can stab someone, right? You can really make some harm to someone with this type of, it's just a tool. And so by knowing infinite consciousness, how all the intention of infinite consciousness is with love, with unconditional love towards us. So infinite consciousness provides us this technology for our benefit. And basically, the technology, the level of technology will be provided to us as humanity is ready for this technology, right? So if we're not consciously ready for the technology, it's not going to be provided to us. That's how we come to the point that the ancient technology, ancient advancement, the humanity was on the higher level of consciousness, on the higher level of awareness. However, they were not, I would say, we're coming even at the higher level of awareness, because we kind of made a humanity, collective consciousness, we made a dip. Because we are unable to come to the higher level of consciousness without actually going through our unconscious ways. And that's what's been happening. That's why humanity was in the darkness for so many years, in that sense, for many, I don't know how many, thousands of years, maybe, I have no idea. So maybe hundreds of years, maybe, right? So the humanity was at the higher level of consciousness right here. And so humanity humanity went through the kind of deep, and right now we're coming out of this deep. That's when we're awakening right now, because the higher level of consciousness is impossible to achieve the higher level of consciousness without actually going through this experience of unconscious ways of life, because that's how everything is basically learned in comparison. In that sense, it's almost like a contrast that we have to go through to achieve a higher level of development, of the higher level of consciousness. Okay, so guys, I'm going to continue discussing those, basically see how the channeled information comes through, just a regular dinner talk. I wanted to just kind of wish you the best time ever, you know, just stay healthy, stay vigilant in that sense. Stay kind of within your inner world, especially if you are feeling, if you have this feeling of weakness, if you don't have belief within yourself, if you don't believe that, if you kind of have this, I would say, feeling that you are alone, that you are not needed, that you are kind of, I don't know, maybe you are going through depression. So when you're going through the depression state, just kind of go within in that sense and try to connect to the source in nature, in solitude, in quietude, and kind of develop this relationship with the source. And the source is going to guide you basically on your way for your highest and best and for the benefit of all in that sense, because all is self in here, right? And so, okay, I'm gonna enjoy my dinner. My potatoes got cold, but I'm gonna possibly heat them up again. Just wanted to basically have this conversation with you again. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. Mwah.